Homeoprophylaxis, or HP, refers to using homeopathy to educate the immune system. HP averages a 90% efficacy rate. HP studies show a consistency across world populations. HP is supported by hundreds of studies and governments worldwide.
When we look, particularly in epidemic situations, at homeoprophylaxis compared to vaccination, apart from the fact that it's 1/20th of the cost, which is not an insignificant thing, or shouldn't be, for governments around the world who's struggling with health budgets. Our evidence base has now moved from being very small studies in a few hundred people to studies in tens of thousands of people, and now we have the opportunity to look at prophylaxis programs in literally millions of people around the world, many of which are conducted by governments and run by people with orthodox medical qualifications. It's one of the best results that we've seen, Mroninsky and others from Brazil against meningococcal meningitis type B in 1998, and they had almost 66,000 children immunised homeopathically, 23,500 from the same region who weren't, and you can see very high level of protection. They followed the two groups for 6 months and then again at 12 months. Those figures are as good as any vaccine. And it's only been recently, by the way, that other people have developed a vaccine for meningococcal meningitis type B.
Measles mortality decline in the United States from, I think it's around 1900 to 1984. Again, just substantial decline before the vaccine was introduced. Scurvy and measles in England, there was not ever a vaccine for scurvy as far as I know, but they both declined at roughly the same rate. This is from 1919, 1967.
You got a huge trade-off here, you have to understand. Okay, vaccines may be able to show to some degree that they were responsible for lowering the likelihood of contracting a certain disease, but they're responsible for increasing cancer rates. Wild chickenpox protects against brain tumors. Measles protects against cancer of the lymph system. Infection with measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, or pertussis protects against Hodgkin's disease, which is also cancer of the lymph system. Measles, rubella, and chickenpox infections during childhood protect against many different types of cancer later in life. So childhood infections are beneficial. MMR vaccination increases the risk of childhood leukemia. The hepatitis B vaccine increases the risk of childhood leukemia. HPV vaccine may cause lupus and other serious autoimmune diseases. What's happening right now with the pertussis vaccine is you're being told that you have to get vaccinated to provide herd immunity. Number one, the vaccine's only maybe 60% effective. So even if 100% of the population was vaccinated, there's no way to achieve herd immunity. Okay? Number two, the vaccine has stimulated evolutionary adaptive behavior, selective behavior. So what's happened is the microorganisms that are targeted by the vaccine have found a way to evade the vaccine, and so they've mutated. So the vaccine is no longer targeting the strains that have mutated. In fact, the people that are vaccinated are actually, they're laboratories for the development of more virulent strains.
Homeopathy, usually you individualize for each and every patient the kind of remedy that is needed. There's an exception to that rule, and those are epidemic diseases. So when you have an epidemic disease, you can analyze the epidemic and find a remedy that we call a genus epidemicus remedy. And once you've found that, you can just reliably prescribe it to anyone suffering from the same condition. So that's what we were doing in Africa with AIDS, with malaria, etc. We found, or actually Peter Chappell found a way to design remedies that totally fit this one condition. And so that's why we see, like with AIDS, we see close to 100% results. Malaria, the same. Why is malaria still a problem? I mean, it's the main killer in Africa, and it's perhaps even that which makes Africa dysfunctional, when so many people are ill so regularly. There's no effective and safe vaccination yet. Therapy resistance is increasing. Side effects of the treatment, side effects of prevention. So it's a huge problem. This remedy is PC240M. Completely safe, non-toxic, no side effects, no therapy resistance, very cheap. I mean, it's the price of water, actually. She was actually sitting next to me to translate for patients, and around 11 a.m. she started falling sick. So I just prepared her a bottle, go home, visited her in the afternoon, and the next morning I thought she would still be in bed, and she was fine. Where otherwise it would take 1 or 2 weeks, she was fine within 24 hours. We really treat for 10 cents a person. With malaria we prevent it. Treating HIV/AIDS costs less than $1 a month.
One of the problems with vaccines, particularly against epidemics, is that most vaccines take 6 to 12 months to develop. With vaccines, when the antigen changes, when the strain of the disease changes, vaccines have to be changed. With homeoprophylaxis, we have 2 advantages. Not only the flexibility of being able to take a new strain and make the remedy immediately, we also have the advantage that our method is based on the principle of similars. As long as, let's use pertussis as an example, as long as 2 different strains of pertussis produce similar common symptoms, the old remedy or the new remedy will both be effective, which is not the case with vaccines. See, that's a massive advantage.